Hilary Alexander. But away from the flowers then, what do we understand about the way modern campaigning works now, and how have the rules changed? One of the most successful social media strategies was Barack Obama's presidential election of 2012. The man behind that was Harper Reid. He's here. I guess you'll say the man behind that was actually Barack Obama. But if, Harper, you explain to us the most important thing you have to get right in a campaign like that, apart from the candidate, what is it?
Well, I mean, a campaign is full of many moving parts, and I think the main thing is that it really is always about just the candidate. And so the important thing is making sure everything else falls behind the candidate. And so that's why oftentimes technology or some various strategies, they don't appear as quickly as when you look at them. They're a little bit behind, because it's always just about the candidate. It's always about Barack Obama.
But I guess there's a very actual mundane process, isn't there, that is about getting people on the electoral register, getting them to the voting. How hands-on do you have to be in terms of just following up with people the whole time?
Right, right. Well, it's actually relatively anachronistic. I mean, it is really knocking on doors.
Right.
It's making phone calls.
So that never goes, even in the social media
And
stuff.
I love that, because when you look at volunteers for campaigns, often it's young people, and this might be the first time they've knocked on a door in their entire life, you know, for this campaign, and they do it because they really believe, and they're sending mail. You know, all these things are the same kind of things that happened in the 80s or the 70s or the 60s or even before. And so grassroots largely hasn't changed. What has changed is how technology has augmented that, made it so it's more efficient. So that
what do you make of the campaigns that the candidates are running this time round? Barack Obama made that quip in the Washington Correspondents' Dinner about Hillary Clinton on Facebook, you know, sounding like your great aunt. Sounds like he doesn't buy her strategy.
Well, I don't know if it's so much that her strategy is not to be bought, as much as, you know, there's a lot of things happening, you know, in the political world of the U.S., and so it's no one knows what's going on. But
that's quite enigmatic. What do you mean by that?
What I mean that is, you know, Donald Trump famously recently said that data wasn't all that the stuff we did in 2012 didn't really matter. And I think that's wrong, but I think what you see instead is that the candidates are battling on Facebook, on Twitter. You know, they're really interacting.
I mean,
more
I guess,
so.
you know, you look at Donald Trump's Twitter following, right? He's got more Twitter followers than the New York Times has readers. So does that mean he's won his own media war without the mainstream press?
Oh, I don't think he's won it without. I think he's definitely won it with. I think Donald Trump has been a genius at making or engaging the mainstream media. And part of that is he doesn't appear to follow a lot of the rules that us more rational people are following. And I don't know if it's, you know, I don't know who does his tweeting or his posts. Is it him directly, or is it someone on his staff? But I do know that, you know, they are consistent and they seem genuine. They seem crazy.
It probably is his. You wouldn't be surprised if
I
it
would
was
not
him.
be surprised.
Do you think that he actually can mobilise his vote? This is one of the questions, right, is whether all the people that turn up to the rallies or talk about him are actually signed up or on electoral register, or is there going to be this big sort of gap in the grassroots?
What we see right now, and you know, this is just kind of what we're reading about, is that the voters who are currently voting for Trump are voters who maybe haven't appeared before. And I think if you look at the reason for the rise of Trump, and it's the same as Bernie Sanders, rise for Bernie Sanders.
Or the rise of Obama, I guess, as well.
I don't
right,
think this is the same as the rise of Obama, because the Trump and Bernie phenomena are largely because of, I think, a general pain in the middle Americas of these people who are, you know, whose plan was changed. You know, they don't have jobs, they can't afford their mortgage, their children will no longer achieve more wealth than they did, or their opportunities. And so when the opportunities are all gone, they're looking for a solution. And both Trump and Bernie are sowing a different solution, but they're saying, I have a plan and I'll fix it.
Let me ask you something more broadly. When you look at, and we've been talking this evening about the Brexit campaign, when you look at a campaign changing its direction or changing its strategy, does that tell you that they're being very savvy, that they're onto it? Can you still win a campaign when you've done a sharp turn, do you think?
I think absolutely, and I think what probably happens is either some polling or some sort of interaction with the people they're targeting resulted in them finding something out. For instance, maybe they found, I don't know what the actual turn was, but maybe they found that their original target, they're sold. right? Maybe they're like, oh, we don't need to interact with them because they agree already.
So you put that aside.
So you put that aside and you say,
yeah.
they're already sold. Let's go after the youth, or let's go after this other demographic. You know, that happens all the time in campaigns where you find out, okay, we have reached saturation point with this demographic or this constituency, so let's move on to another constituency or another demographic. Also, it could show that maybe they're losing in that demographic or constituency. It doesn't have to be a win. It could be, well, we're not successful here. Let's go somewhere where we're successful. Campaigns often, the reason is, or the name of the game is resources.
Right.
If you run out of resources before the election or before your referendum, then you don't have anything else.
Harper, great to have you here. Thank you
for
very
having
much
me.
for coming in.